When it comes to selling low-end sports cards, understanding who the customer is at the end of the transaction is often overlooked, and one that can kind of help build efficiency. And not only that, one of the important factors in helping you become successful in this particular area. Now, you can apply this to anything that you sell within this collectible market, whether it's high-end sports cards, whether it's graded cards, common base cards, non-sport, and even oddball cards. Understanding your customer along with the price point can help determine whether your cards will sell quickly or whether it sits on the shelf for months. Depending on what you sell, there are many different types of customers out there. I mean, you got your investors and you got your collectors. Now, this isn't going to be an investor versus a collector debate. Rather, this is all about understanding your customer base. For me, dealing with low-end sports cards, I specifically target collectors. Now, that doesn't mean that investors and speculators don't buy my cards, because some do. But a majority of my customers are those different types of collectors. I mean, you got set collectors, you got team collectors, and of course, you got player collectors. There are many different types of collectors out there, but it's these set of collectors that I have in mind when I buy and sell low-end sports cards. And by understanding this, it's helped me become a much more efficient buyer when I go look for cards. Let's take set collectors, for example. There are a lot of people who love to collect sets, and there are a lot of highly collectible sets out there. A couple of examples are the 1986 Fleer basketball set and your vintage Topps baseball sets. Also, rare inserts are a good example of this as well. Now, taking this into account, whenever I run into a 1986 Fleer basketball card in a value box, it doesn't matter who the player is, even if it's Wayne Tree Rollins. I'm going to buy that card because I know that card sells. How do I know this? Because I've sold a couple of 1986 Fleer basketball cards of your most common players. Now let's take team collectors as our next example. I have a buyer who collects Phoenix Suns cards. They bought Barkley cards for me and they bought Jason Kidd cards for me before. But how do I know that they're Phoenix Suns collectors? Well, the cards that they bought from me are of them in the Phoenix Suns uniforms, despite me having other cards of them on different teams. And not only that, their address is based off of Arizona. So you kind of put two and two together and you can kind of see this person is a Phoenix Suns collector. Now, with that in mind, as I'm looking for cards, I'm subconsciously looking for Barkley, Kidd, Ayton, Booker, Paul, anybody in a Phoenix Suns uniform to be able to appeal to my customers. Now, if you want to add an extra layer of efficiency to this, then I'm looking for inserts or rare parallels or rare cards of these same types of players, because I'm under the assumption that because this person is a Phoenix Suns collector, they probably have quite a bit of the base cards. So I need something else to be able to appeal to that customer base. Now, when it comes to player collectors, it's pretty straightforward. I tend to focus a lot on highly collectible players, players that have a strong hobby following, whether it's current stars or past stars. But you'll be surprised at what types of player collectors there are out there. For example, I have one buyer who's bought many cards from me in the past, probably up to 100, if not more than that. And they buy the same type of players or the same players. They buy Curry, they buy Shaq, they buy Andrew Wiggins, they buy Emmitt Smith, they buy Jared Allen and Darius Garland. I know this because I pay attention to who buys my cards. That way, when I go and buy cards, I know who my customer base is and I know what kind of cards I can focus on as well. Selling low-end sports cards can be difficult, and a lot of it requires trial and error. But as you're going along and you're selling cards, pay attention to what cards are going out and who the buyers are. There are layers to this, and by paying attention to this detail, not only will you find cards that will sell well, but you also have a list of potential buyers that you can sell to. It's about trying to turn your inventory and trying not to get stuck with cards that won't sell. Like I said in a previous video, a lot of it really comes down to practicing, because practice makes progress. And if you want to know more about that concept, then you can check out this video right here.